right, Charlie Vann here with Brent Pella. Brent, welcome back to the show. Actually, you're the very first repeat guest.
Oh, nice. That's
So,
awesome. I'm honored.
so thank you
I'm
again,
honored.
man.
Thanks, bro.
Well, man, I want to say congratulations on all the videos because you're killing it out there, man. Your recent video, Gavin.
Oh, I'm trying. Thanks, dude.
I mean, so I love the Gavin Newsom. Dead on, spot on. How quick was that turnaround on making that video?
That was overnight. It went from writing to uploading to YouTube in about 6 hours.
That's not bad. That's pretty quick.
Yeah, it was quick. I have a green screen at my house, so for stuff like that, I can just set up the camera and I know lighting, so I could do it all myself, and the audio is me, and it's basically I just do it as I go, and I'm like eating dinner while I'm making it. It's fun. It's a good time, and I like being kind of quick on the turnaround with those topical pieces.
Do you think it's also just because it's like Ricky Bobby? If he ain't first, you're last. So
exactly, yeah.
I mean, you're quicker than SNL right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have to rely on anybody.
Yeah.
It's all if like for the I don't know if you saw the my buddy does a great Trump impression.
Yes.
And I do a very bad Joe Biden impression. And we did a parody of the last debate. And what we were watching the debate. He was here. We were watching it together, taking notes, while my makeup artist was putting the bald cap on me and the wig, which is a 2-hour session. And so by the time she was done, we had structured the script, we rehearsed it real quick, and then we shot it. And then I edited it and I uploaded it until about 4 a.m. And because I want to be I can do that. I don't want to wait 4 days and then the news cycle moves on and everybody's done all the jokes that are similar to maybe what we were thinking. So there's something exciting about being able to do that kind of quick turnaround.
And I might not ask you the first time we had you on about your videos, but like, especially with these time kind of sensitive videos where you're trying to get out quick, how quick is that writing process, or is half of it improv or improvised?
It is, a lot of it is improvised, but it's, I at the very least have the beats that I want to do.
Yeah.
But a majority of the time, I'm improvising as I'm writing. So what you see on camera, I've already written down, but I improvise like before, right? Like I'll just improvise as Gavin to myself, you know what I mean? Or as Joe Biden, and just kind of riff and riff and riff and riff. And then something will land and it'll make me laugh or it'll resonate with me. And so I'll write that down. And so technically you're seeing something written, but to get that written thing, it had to be improvised first. Dees that make sense? It's a little wacky
definitely.
To talk about.
No,
it's like this weird, meta, self-serving rant.
At the end of the day, you make it work.
But,
you make it work. And the praise, I mean, just the comments have been very great, especially for the Gavin Newsom. I mean, a lot of people are like, you're spot on. Like,
yeah. I mean, I would love to not make fun of Gavin, but that would mean he's doing a lot of good things, and I don't think he is. So I gotta call him out for it, in like a funny way. I'm not trying to be mean to the guy, but you do an impression of people you respect, and you try to break them down a little bit in a humane way. So,
well, producer Bryant,
let's see.
He's in the man cave.
There we go.
Yeah. We're talking about the Gavin Newsom video.
My baby took a poop. So I literally had to go and change a diaper.
Nice.
So that's called being a parent real life.
I don't want to learn that. I don't want that stage yet. You keep doing it. I don't want it yet.
But yeah, we were talking about the Gavin Newsom video.
This wasn't a bad one, though. She was gracious to me. Oh, yeah. You guys have a great governor. You guys got a great governor. Great governor.
That's what
I was thinking that, too. It's like, well, no, it was great. I mean, getting caught like that, you can say a lot about our governor, but, our governor, he hasn't gone anywhere.
Where are you at?
Texas.
Oh yeah, Abbott.
So
Right?
our governor hasn't. He hasn't. I mean, he issued a mask mandate
For
but that's it.
indoors.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
but that's it.
yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own opinion, dude, but I side more with that than what Gavin is doing, to be completely honest.
Yeah. So have you gone to the Scum and Villainy bar in Hollywood?
No.
Okay, that place is about to get shut down because of what's going on, and that's where Kevin Smith does his podcast from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
And because they're like, the husband and wife, they just had a son, like newborn.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I mean, we don't have to pay any rent because, they have that thing, I guess, down there where you don't have, if you're a business, because of COVID, you don't have to pay rent until things get, better and everything, or you get a stimulus check. So like, yeah, we don't have to pay anything, but it's piling up and up and up. And we don't know if we can afford, to pay the rent once we get back. And they're like, all Hollywood Boulevard is going to be nothing but smoke shops, 7-Elevens. I mean, it's all going to be gone. I'm like,
It's crazy.
yeah, that's probably what's going to happen.
I read the Troubadours closing or somewhere, some old famous music venue. I forget
Really?
which one. If it's not the Troubadour, it's a different one. Hey, Jamie,
Music-
can you fact check that real quick?
Yeah.
Hang on.
We got to get, let me call up Jamie here in Austin and
Yeah.
see if we can.
Yeah, the Troubadour.
Well,
Back in July, they said.
That's my
I don't know.
fear.
It's
crazy.
Is even out to California, well, here in Texas too. I mean, you've been in Austin to perform in that, and just the places are closed, like the concert venues. What makes Austin really fun? I mean, that extra fun is having that live music, and I'm sure even out there,
Yeah.
like, though they're gonna have a hard time
Yeah.
adapting unless you're like the. Have you been to the Rustic in
Yeah.
Austin? Unless you're like that style.
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, you haven't been to the Rustic?
No.
Yeah, so the Rustic is a restaurant that has like an outdoor patio, so they're able to get by with that. We have one here in Dallas, but other than that, everything's like indoors. So it's like, yeah, concerts. It's kind of, I don't know,
It's
it kinda
tough, dude.
sucks.
It's tough.
I
wish-
heard that one of the music venues here in Dallas has said the only way you can get into our venue is if you have a COVID test. Like if you can prove, like, to them that you don't have COVID, then they'll let you in.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
and again, everybody's got their opinion. It's all good.
Yeah.
None of us are politicians.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't
Yeah.
like it. But we'll see. Who knows? I just don't think, like, that's what Gavin is doing just seems so illogical because he's given us a curfew. But it's not like everybody's out past 10. You know what I mean? That's not like when everybody goes out to party. He's probably causing more shit to happen with all the people that are going to get together purposefully to go against his curfew. Like there was a protest in Huntington Beach last night. There were like hundreds of people on the sidewalks protesting his curfew past 10 p.m. Like, dude, how many of them are going to get super sick now? But the thing is, the data shows that even like not a lot of them will. The data just straight up shows that even if you're in a large group, there are not many people that are even going to have mild symptoms. So that's why I like what the governor in Texas is doing, masks indoors when you're around people.
Yeah.
It makes sense. 10 p.m. curfew and taking the rims off of basketball hoops does not make sense. So,
Well, it's so sad. We had Arlington is, so it's Dallas, Arlington, and Fort Worth. That's literally how like the map goes here. There was a family in Arlington. All of them got COVID. Like some of them are in the ICU. And so, we made a decision, my wife and I, that we're just not going to see family this year. That we're going to do Thanksgiving just me, her, and the baby. And so some of my relatives are anti-mask, like it's all a scam. The scandemic.
Sure.
The plandemic.
The plandemic,
The
baby.
Plandemic. Or as they call it. Are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
COVID 1984.
No! That's good. I haven't heard that one yet.
COVID 1984. I've heard it
That's
many
funny.
times.
That's really funny.
many times. So I sent them the video of the family and everything, and they're like, "Oh, this is propaganda."
Yeah,
They got sick for
no.
something else. Like, no.
No, see, in my opinion, a logical person, if you're like pro freedom of choice, anti-mask, whatever, would see, oh, a family got infected. What are the specific demographics of the actual people who went to the ICU? Were they young with no pre-existing conditions, which is extremely rare, or were they over 65 and or did they have pre-existing conditions, which is very, very common. So it's just about looking, for me personally, it's about looking at the data. I'm not going to run into Whole Foods without a mask on like a dickhead.
Yeah.
But I'm also like going to speak out against things that don't make sense based on data, you know? Like I have people in my life who have been severely affected. My friend's grandfather just died because he got COVID and it turned into pneumonia and he died. Now I already had my session of empathy with this person. So but it's also like important to just acknowledge my own empathy for people that are affected. While you can do that while simultaneously saying, okay, this man was 93 years old and he being 93, according to the CDC, has well over a 10% chance of dying from COVID. And that doesn't put down his death. That doesn't make it any less sad or tragic. That doesn't mean it should be ignored, but it also shouldn't be ignored that he's in the category of vulnerable people that are the category of people that are most vulnerable. And maybe there could have been more attention and resources given to his demographic than there currently are, because we're just doing these sweeping regulations instead of specifically focusing help on the people that might need it the most. And so that's why I'm running for governor in 2022, ladies and gentlemen.
Go.
I know. I was going to say.
I was Kanye West.
Can we start we'll start your campaign here. We'll start your campaign here. It's breaking news. Brent Pella for governor.
Yo, does that make sense though? I mean, I know, like also for anybody listening, bro, I know I'm a comedian and I'm a complete fucking idiot and I'm sorry for cursing, but, I know we just like did a deep dive into some emotional COVID stuff, but does that make sense?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I get lost in these rabbit holes, dude, when we talk about this, and I'm sorry I'm taking
hey, I'm gonna say this. That's no worries. I mean, I look at it like this too. Like, I don't really see a curfew making a big difference. I think the big thing is this is more when it comes to, and I'm not saying all because of businesses, but this is where, okay, you have this policy, then you gotta enforce the policy. Like, I've been in a business where there's just so many loopholes. Like there's like kind of like sitting back, not really telling, hey, first of all, the whole below your nose thing is just crazy. Either wear it or don't.
Yeah.
But it's the lack of enforcement on that following. Because I work in my full time, I work with general public, and it's not fun having to tell people all the time but this is what we got to do. But if you're relaxed on it, then that's where I think the domino effect. But I don't think a curfew is going to change much because, like you said, people are going to sneak off. I mean, we kind of had a curfew here back in the very beginning. People are still going out. I mean, and you still have lakes open. And the summer pools were open. Virus doesn't.
Who are the people going to all those things? Those are all the people in the vast majority that are either asymptomatic or have mild symptoms. Yeah. And so then the argument becomes, okay, well, they're affecting all the vulnerable people. Well, how? And that's the data we don't have, is how are the vulnerable people being affected? Are they being affected at the grocery store? Well, we're already required to wear masks at the grocery store. So the next step would be, let's make it so that the vulnerable people don't even have to go to the grocery store. Give them free Prime delivery until there's a vaccine. How else are vulnerable people catching it? Is it through family members? Well, that's their choice to see family members in their own private residence. All the information is out there. Nobody is forcing themselves into grandma's house to hang out. If grandma hangs out with her 20-year-old grandson, they're both making a choice to see each other. The data is out there. And so I think what we're missing is how all the people that are getting severely sick, the vast majority of them are 65 and up and or have pre-existing conditions. But what we don't know is the data saying how they got infected. And I think that's troublesome because
we don't have the whole contact tracing. We don't
yeah,
have
and yeah, exactly. And we don't know how.
Problem.
And so we're just guessing with all these blanket things instead of like being very specific with messaging saying, hey, if you are over 65 or if you have pre-existing conditions, you should not be around anyone. And it is up to you whether or not you're going to be around someone. And for day-to-day activities where you have to be around people, how can we provide resources so that people in those vulnerable demographics don't have to do those things until there's a vaccine? And then everybody else can continue wearing masks, socially distancing, but we can open gyms and put the rims back on basketball hoops. You know, that's all. That's my
point.
I just want to play basketball. Yeah. That's it. I just want to play basketball. Legalize basketball. That's the only message, dude.
I mean, but you know, and here's what I'll say. We need, like, it's good to have these outlets as long as you're being smart about what you're doing. I mean, it's your choice. Like, it's common sense, right? It's, you know, it's about being smart about what you can do things safely and adapt. And there are people, unfortunately, that are choosing the other way, you know, not be smart. Like you said, you know, I mean, if you're around someone high risk, you know, don't be stupid. I mean, you know, but that you're making that, choice.
Yeah, and the high-risk person is making the choice to be around people too. And I mean, that sounds like shitty on the surface, like you're trying to keep people separate based on pre-existing conditions. But it's in my view, it's more like let's put more effort into helping people in this vulnerable demographic want to stay safe. Like instead of putting a blanket regulation, let's really say, hey, we strongly encourage you if you're 65 and up, don't go to, if you go to a public park, stay 50 feet away from anyone. Don't go to grocery stores. Here's free delivery service. And then again comes where are these people getting it? And if it really is, they're getting it from being around family members and friends, what's the rule going to be? Don't be around your friends? No, let them make the choice. And if you're 65 or 70 and you want to be around your grandkids or whatever, like I saw this clip of some woman who's well into her 70s and 80s. And she was like, I don't care. I've lived my life. I want to keep living my life. Like, great. What? Like, let that woman live her life. And she the data is so easy to find. And so it just feels like we're being treated like babies by people like Newsom and Cuomo, where we could have a little bit more freedom of choice based on available data, while staying safe and respecting people. Again, like the people who don't wear a mask at the grocery store and are out there like you know, my body, my choice about masks. Like that's so stupid. Just wear it at Whole Foods for 5 minutes.
Well, it's like, I mean, you're wearing it for 5 seconds while that staff member there at Whole Foods wears it 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. Exactly. And it's really not that bad. That's my opinion. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's uncomfortable. Of course, nobody likes wearing a mask, dude, but fucking 10 minutes at Whole Foods ain't going to kill you, you know?
I feel like don't wear a mask or a face shield or nothing because the CO2, goes back into your system.
Is that the argument?
That's their argument.
Yeah.
That the CO2 goes back into your body and kills you. And I'm thinking, okay, what about doctors who wear a mask all day long? All day.
Long.
I've had this conversation
with a ridiculous argument, not based in fact.
Well, and I've had that conversation with a friend of mine that's a nurse, and I asked that just for hypothetical if I run into that where I have to like encounter where somebody has that excuse. And I mean, I don't think there's probably a doctor out there, especially if you have any like issues with breathing, there's like, oh yeah, no, it's okay not to wear a mask during something that's like a respiratory virus. I mean, you see with other illnesses where patients have to wear masks all the time. In some other countries, they have to wear masks all the time because the pollution's so bad. It's not the most comfortable, but it's also not the most restrictive thing either. And for most people, they don't have to wear it all day. Like, go to the store. Some people working. I know a lot of people here in Dallas. A lot of people have been working from home. So, I mean, your only time you're wearing it is in the store, in a restaurant, which, by the way, by rules, you can take it off while you're eating. So you only wear it
Yeah.
because you're passing by people that aren't with your group. That's the only reason. So it's not like there's this super strict like you got to walk down the street. That's up, like we said, that's up to you. But people are treating it like, oh man, like this is the end of the world that I have to wear a mask.
Well, it's being treated, the media and the messaging is as if it's a World War Z, you turn into a zombie in 3 days. And
now, remember, in World War Z, the book, the zombie virus did come from Wuhan.
Oh, no, it did. You're right. That's crazy. See,
Max
now the
Landis,
conspiracy
or
people are
Max
going
Brooks,
off, dude.
Max Brooks knew something.
Yep. That's crazy.
But I'll go on a limb. I'm a moron on these
saying.
things too. I mean, everything's up and down with all this. All I do is I do my part.
You're allowed to.
I follow the rules as far as like going in this and that, and I don't go many places anyways because I'm like money, like, I'm like, I'm eating tuna fish tonight. I'm not
right.
So
and I work from home, so I'm always home. Now I did go into a Target today that I had to get an air filter, but that was like the first time I went to a grocery store in months.
Yeah.
And my wife has had to go through. We use like Instacart.
Yeah.
And everything. Now an Instacart person did steal our Thanksgiving food last weekend. Yeah.
Shit.
So she had to go and get some stuff that we needed just for the week, and then we did it again, and this person brought us our food this time. But I mean, I wear a mask, and when you go into businesses here in Dallas, you have to wear the mask and everything. Now I do know that in some Walmarts, on some cities outside of Dallas, they're very lenient on masks.
And so again, that speaks to like the American paradox, right? Which is America was founded on freedom and your ability.
Don't tell us what to do.
Right, exactly. And also the American paradox, which is like, you don't have the right to hurt other people's lives. Well, you don't have the right to tell me what to do with my life. And it's like, it's just a snake eating itself. And so, something, if there's businesses in rural areas or whatever that are like, wear a mask if you want, it's up to you whether or not to go to that business, dude. You know what I mean? And that's a choice, unfortunately, that you have to make.
I make it. I don't go to restaurants,
right? And that's your choice. Yeah,
I don't go. I don't judge people who do, because everyone has free will. They can do what they want to do, and we choose not to be around certain family members that don't wear a mask. You know? And I'm worried about my grandma, because my grandma just turned 87 last week.
Yeah, my grandparents aren't coming for Thanksgiving anymore. And I fully support that, because they're both over 80, which means if they get it, they got a 10% chance of dying.
Yeah.
Which means there's a 20% chance that one of them will die if they both get it, right? So that's not good. But my sister is 19 and she's in college, and I went to see her last week, gave her a big old hug. We went out to lunch, hung out, met all her roommates and friends. We're hanging out because none of us are around people in the vulnerable demographic, literally ever. Like, we're just not. We just don't see people that are over 65 or have pre-existing conditions. I'm shooting with a buddy on Tuesday, and I asked him if he was cool to shoot with me. And he said, I'm fine. I'm just going to wear a mask because I have asthma. And I was like, whoa, well, just so you know, man, like, I'm not going to be wearing a mask because we're shooting, and I just don't wear it on shoot days. Are you going to be okay being in close proximity to me while we're shooting? Or should I like respectfully find someone else to work with? I love you very much, but if you would rather not, that's totally fine. And he was like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to wear a mask. We can hang out. I'll shake your hand. We can kick it like we usually do. I'm just going to be wearing a mask. And so that's an informed choice that he's making. Now, immediately, a lot of people would be like, no, Brent, you're being irresponsible by even allowing him to make that choice. And no, okay? It's his. I gave him the out. He had the out. Gave him the out. There are no leashes here. Yeah. So there is a middle ground in between blindly following regulations
Mm-hmm.
that aren't based on the right data of the survival rates and everything, and between everybody gets to choose and let's go outside and have a maskless orgy. There's somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
I think. Although I'm
Well,
leaning toward the orgy.
yeah. There we go. You gotta lean towards the orgy always.
Right.
That's a rule.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, my wife goes to work every day wearing a mask and a face shield, and she encounters people who get COVID, and what do you do? Then it's like, it's that, okay, what does that mean for us?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are we okay? Me and Charlie have a friend who his job is a medical courier, and one of the things he takes with him when he picks up orders at hospitals is COVID stuff.
Yeah.
And so, his family, they have to make a decision on whether or not, he's like, well, I'm gonna go see my family for Thanksgiving, maybe. Some people didn't feel comfortable with me during another holiday because they know I'm around COVID samples.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, I'm planning on seeing family, but who knows? People might not feel comfortable. So, he's in that kind of predicament. And he goes to restaurants with his wife casually and stuff like that. I mean, but he's, besides that, he's always at home.
Yeah.
He doesn't go out to bars or anything like that. It's either work, home, or go to eat at a restaurant with his wife. That's it.
Yeah.
They don't go around other people.
Yeah. And there's a stat from the CDC that says 80% of people are either asymptomatic or have mild symptoms. Mild meaning like a regular common cold, mild symptoms. And that's 80%. Now for the 20% that have severe symptoms, there's no demographic information about those people for reasons I don't know. I did some digging, couldn't find demographics of the 20 people that have severe symptoms. But based on the data of people who die, I would assume it's a high 90s that to have severe symptoms, you must be above 65 or have pre-existing conditions. Of course, there's reports of young, healthy people getting extremely sick, but it's so remarkably rare for someone under 65 with no conditions to have severe symptoms. It's like it's not as rare as the flu, but if you're under 65 with no pre-existing conditions, the CDC numbers are very close to the flu numbers. And in general, it's worse than the flu. That's obvious. It's more contagious. It's killed more people. That's a given. It's worse than the flu.
It's mutated so quickly. I mean, it went from like respiratory to like, I mean, there's some that lose their
that's what
sense
happens.
of taste. It's all over the place.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to remember SARS, when it came out, it went away and then just became the flu. That's literally what the flu is now, is just, SARS, bird flu. That just became the common flu. So they never created a real they didn't have time to create a vaccine for that, because they just kind of it literally, as Trump said, went away. One day it woke up and it went away. And it became the common flu. It just became another form of common flu. With COVID, it will become like the flu at some point. It'll just be another flu, but until then, I mean, you got to remember, in 1918, when the pandemic, when the influenza pandemic hit, my grandfather was alive. My dad's dad was alive during that time. And he would tell my dad stories about, I mean, it was crazy, and you think back, what did people do back then? They didn't believe it was real. They went out, when they thought everything was fine, in large group without wearing a mask, because they didn't want to wear a mask. And government, public officials had, each different opinions. I mean, it's almost like history repeated itself.
Yeah.
Because that was something that no one ever seen before, that type of influenza pandemic. We haven't seen this type of, coronavirus, which, I mean, coronavirus exists. I mean, it's a virus, but we've never seen this highly potent version of this virus before. And, it happened. And some people don't want to take the vaccine. I know people who don't believe in vaccines at all. I remember I told somebody, family member, I got the flu shot. Oh, no. And I tell you right now, I've never gotten a flu shot until I had a baby. And it wasn't because I thought the flu shot had microchips in it that were going to alter my DNA and turn me into a lizard.
Yeah.
It was, yes, I never got the flu shot. I've never gotten the flu, knock on wood, never happened. But with the baby, I'm like, you know what? I got to be extra careful here. And, I've had the flu shot now for 3 years. I never really had any symptoms or anything.
Nice.
But it's like, oh my God. And I had, when I was a kid, my parents gave me shots.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, oh, I wish you didn't have shots. I'm like, I would say that I'm normal.
Yeah.
Depending on who you're asking, but I mean, I don't feel any different. I don't think it altered me in any way, because that's the big thing too. Oh, you take Bill Gates' vaccine, you're going to turn into
they're going to microchip you, dude.
They're going to microchip you. And I'm like, and I thought like, man, Bill Gates, they're like, he's an evil mastermind. Like the Zune guy, the Zune guy,
the Zune guy.
Okay.
He's going to put a Zune in your arm.
He's like, now everybody will love it. Everybody will have one. But no, I mean, I don't.
Did you ever, Brent, get? Oh, go ahead.
No, I guess I don't get the whole thing. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to run out and get a vaccine right away. I may see how a couple people do it, but I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
I was going to say, Brent, have you ever been tricked growing up into getting a shot where you thought you were going somewhere fun or doing something?
I was always pretty good with shots, I think.
Yeah.
Because my mom would always get me like a toy if I got a shot. So like, she would get me like a squirt gun or something, and I would just be like playing with it on the doctor's table. And then out of nowhere, I'd be like, ow, gosh. And then I'll go back to the toy. So I never really had a big problem with the shots.
Oh, they would strap me down to an executioner's table.
My most famous
shots. Literally, like my arm was out like this, and they would strap my arm down. I was a kid. I hated shot. I would run around the whole office.
Funny, man.
2 big ladies would tackle me.
Yeah.
And they would strap me down and just give me the shot.
That's hilarious, dude.
So,
my most, I guess, story I like to tell when I was about 5 or 6. Remember the old RoboCop show on TNT? The old RoboCop. Yeah. So I was a huge RoboCop fan. By the way, seeing that movie as a young kid, that will terrify those opening. So I used to have this RoboCop toy. I thought I could become RoboCop. I was one of those kids that was gullible. Anything you saw on TV, I thought I could become. I thought I could eat the Gushers and my head would turn into orange.
Yeah.
Tastes like crap. I mean, it tastes like, wax. But I thought that could happen. So I really believed that I could be RoboCop. And I asked my mom, I want to become I was like, I really want to become RoboCop. And my mom plays along with her. She's like, all right, I'll set up an appointment with the doctor. Because in the beginning of the old TV series, all I see is him go into this like incubator and then he comes out RoboCop. And I was like, I want to be that.
I want to be that. Yeah.
So my mom sets up the appointment and I go and I get a shot. I'm like, touche, Mom. I was sad. I did not get to become.
She got
RoboCop.
You, dude.
That would have been way different if you said, I want to be RoboCop, and you take you to a warehouse with a bunch of guys and they shoot you out of hell. Now you're RoboCop.
I mean, those fun little memories of like getting vaccinated. Then now you're RoboCop. I also thought I could be Peter Pan too, and that didn't work. So child imagination,
dude. I was well, Robin
let's
Hood
also
for
talk
6
about.
years.
I mean, you've been out there.
Oh, really?
Robin that's Hood. Commitment.
Yeah,
that's better than Costner. I mean, that's
it was. I wanted to be him, but sorry, Charlie, I had a little delay. Go ahead with what you were about to say.
No, I was gonna say, because we were talking about early venues, and you've been performing. How is it out there right now in the comedy clubs? I mean, how's are they adapting? Like, what's the feel of the room?
Yeah, so it's different per state because every state is doing their own thing. California is pretty dry. I haven't performed in California. Sacramento, there's a club open on their patio only, and they're at like a very low capacity on their patio. But I've been touring with my buddy JP Sears, the long red-haired guy that you might have seen pop up in some videos of mine. And I've been opening for him, which is awesome. He has a great fan base, and he's an awesome dude. And we did Florida, Texas, Virginia, and Utah together over the past couple of months. And he and I are as comfortable as we were this time last year. Like
Mhm.
if people are coming up to me after a show with no mask, trying to shake hands, I'm gonna match that energy because I just on a personal level, I feel very comfortable based on the data that we were talking about before. So, but and also in those states, you have a lot of people like that, people that want to make the informed choice of going out to a comedy club. And everybody there is like that. It's not like at a comedy club, there's going to be a group of people in hazmat suits off to the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's like ready to party because there's this energy out there of people that have been cooped up for so long and now maybe they have enough data to make the choice to go out and they know they're not going to see any vulnerable people later. So Florida was packed. Dude, the day we did Florida, the first night of shows, the governor lifted all the mandates and the club called JP and they were like, hey, the mandates got lifted. Do you want to put more tickets on sale? And he was like, yeah. And it sold out. And it was 4 straight days of sold out shows, like 1,000 people total on the weekend. Masks were like, quote, required inside, but no one really listened. And it was awesome, you know? And there are no reports out of Florida of hundreds of deaths because of a comedy show. So it's just been it's been fun to do that, to like find the opportunities to go to these states and perform live and stay safe and respectful at the same time. But it's been great. I've been happy to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I
How was
love
the
those
Austin
videos you guys
vibe?
make together, by the way, you and JP, every time you go to a new state.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah,
Oh, love them.
the Californians in
Yeah,
wherever, those are fun.
yes. Oh,
Yeah,
they're
that's a fun way to get to like poke fun at both sides a little bit and mock all the California people at the same time as the other people. Yeah, like we shot one in Houston, and Charlie, you asked the Austin vibe. Austin is dope, man. JP lives out there, so I go out there and I shoot with him once in a while, and it's pretty wide open. There's like not really a big sense of fear out there that there is here in LA, which feels really nice. You know, it's nice to be around people walking down the sidewalk that will make eye contact with you and smile. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting how each state is taking it differently depending on like the demographic of the people and everything. Now, do you think California would be that way if it wasn't such strict rules down there? I mean, what do you think that how are the people feeling? Because I was wondering that, like, how are they doing mentally with all this?
I have grown to adopt an opinion that California is the most the state that's the population is the most likely to adhere and accept whatever the media says to a certain extent, much more than other states. Because it's always California's always been blue. It's always voted Democrat. It always will, which is fine. You know, I've voted blue pretty much my whole life, and so the vibe is like the vibe of CNN, kind of, which is like this is a zombie virus that could kill literally anybody. You know, don't go outside.
Yeah,
and that to me is very disappointing because while I do believe in regulations and safety for what's going on, I just don't believe it to the extent that California is doing it. So it's been weird, but I also like, I would love for some clubs to be open again, especially patios or the weird thing is I think they're considering comedy clubs as restaurants because they serve food.
really.
And so they're not allowing you indoors to comedy clubs or restaurants in California. And most comedy clubs don't have a patio. So it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know who makes that designation, but I would have loved for comedy clubs to just be their own like thing. You know?
Yeah, that's what they like that.
Didn't
Star
you do a
Wars
drive-in?
bar doesn't
Oh,
have
right,
an
okay.
outside patio, so they can't make any money.
Yeah.
So in some places here, or I'm sorry, in a lot of places here they have outside patios, and so they're able to utilize that, to make money, and in Texas, in the last, few, ever since I think like the 60s, 70s, it became more of a red state.
Yeah.
Texas, But really, what people don't know about Texas is that it's always been a purple state. The only thing is that people who vote Democratic usually don't vote here in Texas. That's the big thing. It's like if you're Democrat in Texas, you're probably not gonna, because it's more, you know, more younger people, you know, and young people don't vote here in Texas. You know,
Right.
that's just the truth. And so when people see like Tarrant County, which is Fort Worth, got more votes for Biden than it did for Trump, people are like, oh my God, this is weird.
Right.
I'm like, no, it's just people just went out to vote, you know, and that's what happens when people go out to vote. And so, you know, we have a demographic here of people who, you know, wear the mask, who don't wear the mask, or who wear the mask in certain areas because they know in their mind, like, okay, you know, if I'm going to go out with friends, I'll wear a mask when I need to, and then not wear it when I'm doing something else.
Right.
You know, and then you have people that don't wear masks at all because they think it's, you know, COVID 1984.
Right.
You know, and it's George Soros and
dude, what
and,
if those people are right, dude? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do if a year from now,
I don't know,
everybody's dead because of the vaccine and Bill Gates is trying to put us all in camps? What do we do?
You know, there's that's interesting. There's a movie that was made in the 60s, and it was called Wild in the Streets, and it was kind of it's not the same thing, but it's about like how if young people were able to vote, like 15, and they voted for a rock star, and he put everybody in. If you're over the age of 30, he put you in a concentration camp with like LSD and stuff like that. So, and then look at Handmaid's Tale.
Dude, do you watch Handmaid's Tale?
So, okay.
Bro, don't get me started, dude. Don't get me started on Handmaid's Tale, dude.
This is what happened. Seen that, but I've heard about it.
This is what happened. I went to go do a job, a video job, and I come back to the house and I'm in the car and I'm watching your video on Instagram about Handmaid's Tale, right? And I'm like, okay, and I was like, this is, and I've never seen it. I'm like, this is funny. I walk in my house. What's my wife doing? She's watching Handmaid's Tale. She's watching the show. And she's like, this is crazy. This could happen. This could happen. This is insane. Yep. So I started watching it with her. She was in, I think, like 2 or 3 episodes in, but she caught me up.
Yeah.
Man, that's
some shit, dude.
That's scary. You know, that's, you know, my mom, she grew up in Uruguay. You know, and she lived in a time where, you know, South America was becoming very heavily socialist and everything. You know, everything was just coming down from Russia and Cuba at that time, and everything was coming down. And so the country was scared of communism, and so she remembers as a child soldiers coming in and just ransacking the house looking for propaganda and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
And so she was like, you know, so she has a fear of that. It's, you know, and of that could happen again. And, you know, I mean, that's down there, that happens all the time. You know, it's so weird. People talk about how foreign governments interfere in our elections. I'm like, what do you think we've been doing?
Right.
For the last decades.
For real.
You know? That's what we've been doing. That was our thing. You know, that was our thing, real, interfering and toppling governments and stuff like that.
Totally.
So yeah, Handmaid's Tale, dude.
It's crazy, man. That's whole story is so crazy. Yeah.
That's insane. Charlie, are you there?
Did we lose Charlie? Charlie is frozen.
Charlie,
he's frozen. He's frozen in time.
That is hilarious.
With a sexy model face.
I know, right? There you go. His profile pic.
At least he froze in a way that makes him like look really good.
I always joke with him because Charlie, he does he goes on a Bachelor Instagram podcast.
Yeah.
And every time this lady posts a thumbnail, and you know how on Instagram, you know, when you do the live chat, like the videos are on top of each other.
Yeah.
So every time she chooses a photo of Charlie, it's always like the worst photo like you can pick, and always like, "Hey, great photo in that caption." He goes, "Yeah, I know." Bro, I was talking about the Bachelor podcast. How she always gets a great picture for you.
Something's with my. I guess Spectrum is listening in or something to what. Well, there we
See,
go.
here's what happened. The government knows we're
There you
having a
go.
conversation that
The
could
NSA,
topple
dude.
everything.
Like I can't. Can you so you guys can hear it. Just clicked everything off again.
You know, well,
Oh, there you are.
well, you know what
I don't-
today is? Today is the 57th anniversary of JFK's assassination.
Ooh,
You know,
spooky.
My so I always tell this story,
just
but I
saying,
think
guys.
my grandfather actually ate dinner with Kennedy the weekend before he came to Dallas. So he was a
Whoa.
judge, and he would get invited to these political dinners, conventions, and I'm not sure if he was sitting across from him, but I know he's at the same table with Kennedy, and that was I think on a Saturday, and I think it happened on a Thursday.
That's crazy.
So yeah,
Well, then your
that's-
dad met Nixon,
that's
right?
pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Didn't your
My dad
meet
met Nixon too. Actually, so my dad, this is like several years before Watergate, and my dad was thinking about going to law school because that's what his dad did.
Mhm.
And Nixon had a few, as usual, per usual, and they were having a conversation, and he's like, "Son, what do you want to do with your life?" And he's like, I want to go. I'm thinking about law school. He's like, he's like, let me tell you about law school. And he just went on this like tangent about his administration. It probably didn't really add up because it was like drunk Nixon. And my dad's like, okay. But my dad did not go to law school actually. So, but I think he's also met LBJ. He met, so my grandfather.
Wow, he runs deep, dude.
Well known.
Dang.
Yeah.
Your grandfather is deep state, dude.
Deep state. Yeah.
You got a deep state grandfather, bro.
When you throw on that judge's robe.
There's LBJ right there.
There he is. There's a little camera in that head too.
No, but I apologize. My I don't know what is going on.
That's
the thing about Zoom.
It's NSA. It's fine. It's NSA.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, every time we have like real talk about stuff and the phone makes a weird sound, we're just like, okay, that's just FBI.
Yeah.
They're just listening in.
Here's a sketch idea. Talk about being in that meeting, like if you're Skype right now and like drop the ball how popular Zoom is. Like it's kind of like the Blockbuster meeting. It's like, no, we're good. People are gonna still rent,
Right.
Did you know Enron was their partner on an idea of like they were going to start a streaming service or something like HBO or something like that. And of course it didn't happen, and
Bernie Madoff was their accountant too. I mean, that's just crazy.
It all worked out well.
Right.
Yeah, but I think there's one Blockbuster left somewhere up north.
In Alaska.
Oh, you know what? No, it just got turned to an Airbnb.
Even better.
They just turned the last Blockbuster into an Airbnb.
That's crazy.
My old Blockbuster is a sports bar. So there you go. Still have fun. Have fun. It's funny. You go in where the bar is. That's where the video game section was. Like,
no, you know what's great? It's when you like an old venue like shuts down and then a new place pops up, but they keep the same marquee. They just change the name on it.
Yeah.
It's like Hollywood Video goes out of business. Now it's Hollywood Laundromat.
Right.
I love that.
Change the letters.
They have to have the same.
That's great.
They want to keep the same branding.
Yeah, it's already there. It's free. Just put laundromat right next to it. There you go. Boom.
What's the worst branding you've ever seen or currently? What do you think?
Ooh, the worst branding? The worst branding. Probably White Claw.
Oh yeah.
Because White Claw, it like
we're gonna have so many comments after this, because somebody is so strong about White Claw, or truly.
Listen,
truly.
The people who drink White Claw are drunk ass college people and people that are trying to get hammered. Like White Claws are delicious, and people pound them and play White Claw pong with them, and sororities and fraternity kids are like partying with White Claws. But I don't know if you've ever seen the White Claw Instagram. It's like black and white with like beautiful imagery. And so their branding is as like this fancy wine cooler. But every Chad and Katie across the country is out there getting ripped off of like 12 packs, taking them straight to the face. I always thought that was really funny.
Is that like the new Smirnoff or stuff like
I've
that?
never. It's a seltzer. They're like this past summer was all about Bud Light. The Bud Light. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, everything's seltzer. I know.
It's terrible.
Everything's seltzer now.
But I would say Washington football team. I think that's the worst market. Here's the thing. Like, I think we most can agree, okay, it was about time to change the name, right?
Yeah.
You have a multi-million-dollar marketing team,
Oh
and
man.
that's the best. You couldn't do like in elementary when we wanted to change our mascot, we had a poll, a survey. You can't
Yeah.
go to the fans and be like, hey, what do you guys think? What name? Let's take a poll. But the best thing, you're like, we're gonna be the Washington football team.
That
Is
would
that
probably
what
be
the
like that way for a
Redskins are
while.
now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're the
yeah.
Washington football team.
What's their mascot? A football?
That's a good question. I don't think they have.
They don't have a
one.
mascot now.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
They got nothing. I'm like, that'll probably be there for a while. You
They
know,
gotta have a mascot. I think it's probably right that they change the name, but they can't just be the footballs.
Football team. I mean, look
the
at
footballs.
I mean, look at hockey. I mean, now they have the Seattle Kraken's going to start.
That's
so,
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, it takes you 5 seconds to really
Dude, the
pitch around them.
NBA has the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah.
Washington could do something.
Yeah, just pick a bird or something.
Well, their
like
XFL
that, you know?
team is the DC Defenders. That actually sounds cool. Why don't you
Sounds
just
great.
adopt that and use the DC this could be a farm league into, I don't know. It's
There's
just
so many cool names you could do being the capital of the country. There's
I
so
mean,
many
the
cool
Washington
names.
Wizards. I mean, there's no. I mean,
I think the
Man,
owner
it
was
is a lot
just
better
so,
than
the
the
owner
old
was
name,
so
the Bulls,
mad
but-
that he had to change it that I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
I don't really think because he even said I would never change the name of this football team ever,
Yeah.
ever. And then 2020 happened. He's like, oh, I gotta.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
he was
change that
going to lose his merchandise
Well,
rights.
they didn't know the
I
image.
think, what was it, Nike? I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, they
something
didn't
like
own
that.
that image anymore because when they
Yeah.
try to go and get the copyright back on that image, they said no, we're not going to issue a copyright for it. And so then that's why South Park made that episode where they used that image throughout the entire episode, spoofing them because there was no
Oh,
copyright
right.
on it. There was no copyright
Yeah.
on it, so they didn't even own it anymore. So they were using an image that they didn't even own that became public domain. You know.
Dude, South Park gets everybody, man.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the
Nobody's
South Park
safe.
special, the pandemic special?
No.
Oh man, it's ridiculous, but it's really funny. It's
Man,
like I don't know
they're
if it's an
still
hour
going.
long, but yeah, they're great.
Was
Talk
it
about a quick turnaround.
97, 98 is when they launched? I think 97,
Yeah,
98.
something like that.
Yeah, I got the first.
They're on
12
that
se- I got the
Simpsons mode
first
right
12
now.
seasons
Yeah.
over here.
Yep.
Why do you think that cartoon show has like been great where the Simpsons and like Family Guy kind of teeter off a little bit?
Because I think South Park just always took risks and never pulled punches. Maybe I don't know. And they're always super topical. Like Family Guy is
Yeah.
topical sometimes, but then other times it's Peter fighting a chicken for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
which is great. But yes, and also South Park is like children cursing and killing people. Like that's insane. That's
Yes.
so insane.
And you know what? They never changed their style.
Never.
And I think that's another thing too, is that was with Family Guy, the animation changed. And I even think throughout the years, the animation, The Simpsons changed.
Yeah.
And with South Park, it always was the same. They never tried to do anything different. Now, I don't know
Right.
if it's still done, but with, stop motion or cardboard, I think they use computer animation somewhat more heavily now, but you can't, it looks just like it. If you look at an episode now to an episode when it first came out, it almost looks like it could have just been, back to back with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Well,
Those guys are awesome.
Let me ask you this, Brent. Just kind of going, you just mentioned about like kind of how the pushing the envelope. How do you feel like that's affecting with comedy like right now, and like even with your style? Do you ever feel like pushed with the audience to have to at all in your bit to push the envelope a little bit? I mean, what do you see right now with that?
I think 2020 changed a lot of people's creative ambitions as far as what they're doing with the stuff that they're putting out. I see a lot of people who are taking the risks to push their content in a direction that speaks more toward their perspective on what's going on. And I see those people growing at a faster rate than the people who are doing what they've always been doing. and kind of riding that safety railing of just like not really taking risks. And to each their own. I don't think either is better than the other, but I'm just, from my perspective, I see the people that are taking risks. Like for JP, his audience has doubled on Instagram in the past year. And most of that year has been 2020. So with his pivot into his topical stuff, he's exploded. My numbers have gone up significantly in 2020. And I really do think that's because we've both like let go of the fear of talking about politics in our comedy or talking about topical current event things. And that speaks to people. And maybe it makes a small majority of people mad, but at the end of the day, I think people make content for themselves first, and then just have faith that you're going to find an audience of like-minded people that want to take this journey with you into the future. And that's what I've been doing. And I think that's what JP has been doing. So when it comes to like, quote, pushing the envelope or like, taking risks, I see that in 2020, more people are doing it, and it's way riskier because the climate is polarized. But the payoff, if you do it right by staying true to yourself, is bigger than it's ever been.
Yeah, I mean, I love how you take shots at both sides.
Yeah,
you know,
both sides deserve it. They deserve it.
And you've had people comment about that just recently.
Yeah.
I think that's part of like comedy in general. And you even see it mentioned Saturday Night Live earlier. Nobody's really safe, because I think it's good to like, hey, both sides have some flaws. Both sides have some characteristics that it's easy, and that's part of comedy, is just the mocking. It doesn't matter where you stand politically. I mean, everyone has an opinion, but it's just like, hey, this is satire. You know, I can't just pick on one guy over here or one politician. It's open field.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, yeah, and I think that's one reason why I'm glad that we live in America, where we're able to make fun of our leaders and not worry about being taken to the goulash.
Yeah,
That's the one thing. Like, America has a lot of faults. We're never going to be a perfect nation.
Yeah,
but there's never a fear of a comedian having to go on stage and say something about, like in England, I think in the 60s, you couldn't say anything about political leaders or you'd go to jail.
Yeah.
I think one guy went to jail.
Crazy.
There was one guy who went to jail recently because he did a sketch where he wanted to turn his girlfriend's dog into a Nazi. So he taught it how to raise its hand and everything. He went to jail for that.
That's
because they said he was spreading Nazi propaganda.
Oh, damn.
So I mean, you gotta remember when Lenny Bruce was first doing it.
Yeah.
That's what happened. I'm lucky that we don't live in that type of world now, where anyone can speak their mind, and it's like in comedy, and it's like, there you go.
I would hope so. But like it's kind of crazy now that you can make a joke and be called out for hate speech when it's clearly a joke. And it's a small minority of people that do that overreact, but unfortunately they are the loudest. Mm-hmm. And so when you see people like trying to, cancel Joe Rogan, there's 12 of those people out there, but they're so loud online, and they get amplified by all these media outlets that it sounds like 1,200. But
they're closed-minded. They're closed-minded. They're the closed-minded ones. That's the thing. Right. They are the ones that they themselves are what they're arguing against, almost.
Exactly.
They are the closed-minded ones.
Yeah, it's hypocritical, and the people who can push through that to just get their voices heard and like continue to make content that points out the hypocrisies and the ironies, and push those envelopes, I think are doing really well right now. And it's fun to be a part of that. I'm figuring out my own beliefs at the same time. I don't know who the hell I am, but I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this, with Biden now elected.
Yeah.
Gives you a character for the next 4 years.
I know.
You and Jim Carrey.
I'll say this, speaking strictly from a comedy point of view. In 2016, it was the best thing for Trump to get elected for comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best. If you were voting, if you were comedy and you had a vote, you would have voted for Donald Trump. It gave people their own TV shows. A new generation of impressionists were born. SNL had material that was amazingly funny. The late night shows were popping because everybody had these hilarious takes on the insanity. But then we hit this point about a year ago where, man, these jokes are hacky. We get it. He's orange. We get it. He cheated on his wife. We get it. He doesn't pay his taxes. And the jokes were like hacky and old. And so now, if you were comedy in 2020, you would have voted for Biden, because now we can be silly again. And we're going to have this whole new, like, if Trump had gotten reelected, man, it would have been painful.
Broken
for comedy,
record.
dude. Yeah, a broken record, man. I don't want to watch Seth Meyers like force himself to do another Trump impression. I love Seth Meyers.
Yeah.
I want Seth Meyers to be fresh and awesome. And I don't want, but you watch all these guys, and like Fallon is still doing a Trump and like making fun of him for being orange.
Well, Colbert won't
God.
he won't say his name anymore on the show. He puts asterisks next to his name. Won't mention him. He said from now on, no more Trump
That's kind of
impression.
savage.
No more mention on my show.
A Biden presidency is going to breathe a fresh air into the world of comedy, and I'm excited to do Biden and not be as mean to him. Like the impressions I was doing of Biden were like mean, because we were doing Trump and Biden at the same time.
Yeah,
and I personally don't like either of them. I dislike Trump way less, like way more, I mean, or whatever. But I'm just not a huge fan of either of them. And I was like hard on Biden, and my buddy was super hard on Trump because we wanted that dichotomy. And so now I can loosen up and just make him be like a silly old man now, instead of like kind of roasting him really hard. So I don't know. I'm excited for the new opportunities that this will bring once that shift happens, and once the pandemic, by this time next year, it starts to like simmer a little bit,
Well,
and you can come to Addison. Then you
come to Dallas. Come to Dallas.
Love to.
We'll do this in person. We'll eventually do this in person. I say it's all about also just staying positive. I mean, it's easy to stress. I get it. We're going through, but I mean, great. We still have what you're doing and providing this funny content. I mean, we need an escape. We need something. And I mean, that's awesome what you're doing, delivering this content, getting people to kind of escape a little bit through all the madness.
I mean, it's not, I'll be honest, dude, it's the highlight of my day when I see one of your videos.
Thanks, man.
When you and JP, I mean, it's such great A comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are knocking out of the park everything you guys do.
I really appreciate that.
The Three Bros, love the Three Bros.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I got to bring those guys back. They're
love
an ongoing
it.
thing for sure.
Love it. And fantastic directing, editing, from that standpoint too. It's amazing. You're doing a great job, man.
I appreciate it, dude. Yeah. Hopefully I won't be poor for too much longer. And then I can buy us all dinner in Addison. That would be dope. That's the dream.
There we go. All right, man. Well, hey, I know we gotta let you go. Let people know where they can find you and they can watch your comedy.
It's at Brent Pella on everything. YouTube.com/Brent Pella, Facebook Brent Pella Comedy. 2 videos a week, every week, and it's a fun time. Come hang out. Come by.
Charlie froze again.
Charlie froze, dude. He looked so good though. He looked good again on his frozen picture.
Yeah, there we
go.
go.
It was the perfect. Dude,
I had this whole Oscar
with the perfect smile.
I had this whole thing, and I'm talking to myself. I was just I was gonna say, because Brent, I know you have to head out, but I'm just gonna.
Great, yeah.
Nice. Lost him again. Doesn't look as good this time on the screen though. Looks a little zombie-ish on the screen.
Oh my! 7 days. 7 days. 7 days.
Charlie, come back. Try one more.
Well, come on, dude.
And man, for coming on the podcast.
Dude, start over. We lost you again, bro.
Hey, this is a rehearsal. Okay, I got it.
You got 2 rehearsals. You're gonna nail it.
Let me put it off. I just okay. So, I just want to say thank you again for coming on this podcast. I know you have to go. Hopefully this doesn't cut out again because I get this one shot. So I'm going to be fast. So I'm going to be like your character. So yeah, I want to thank you for coming on this podcast again. Congrats on everything. But lastly, where can people find you?
We did that, Charlie.
Oh,
but no, do it again. Do it again, Brent. Do it again.
Do it again. It's going to be like radio every 30 minutes.
It's Brent Pella. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Venmo, PayPal, OnlyFans, Pornhub. Follow me on everything. I would really appreciate it.
Covering all the bases. Busy man. Well, check your stuff out, man, and hopefully we see you once again. Yeah, come to Dallas.
Yeah.
Dude, soon.
We're semi-open.
I'm talking to the guy out there at Hyenas Dallas.
Oh yeah,
come back. Yeah,
it's back. So that's good. That's good. Cool. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, man.
Well, stay safe.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it. I love talking to you guys. I'll talk to you soon.